friends. Hope you're doing well. So, it has been a long time since I've sat down and made a video at the desk. And I know you're not supposed to start videos by being like, sorry fam, haven't made a video in a while. But you know what? I'm not sorry. Life got in the way, in the worst ways. And I just did not have the energy or the juice to squeeze these vocal cords, those sweet whispers. It has been a real crap summer. The summer has been awful. So I don't even know. Let's start with July. Let me just give you the bullet points. I had to go to the emergency room in July because I got super sick, and then I got better, and then I got sick again, like the next day. And so apparently that's like a really bad thing because my fever was at like 101.9 or something like that. And I was as my new favorite expression, having an upstairs downstairs situation when it comes to projectiles coming out of my bodily waste, as it were. So that was awesome. And then my toe got infected again that same period. And that was right before I was supposed to leave on a week-long road trip with my fiance to go to a family reunion down in Georgia. So I didn't have to go to that, but I also wasn't super excited to go to that because I've never met any of those people. And her mom was kind of just like, you guys have to go. And it's like, okay, why? And it's like, because they're not coming to your wedding. And it's like, okay, they're not coming to our wedding, so we have to go to their family reunion. That doesn't make any sense, but I digress. Hey, make her happy. We go on a road trip, we can stop and see some stuff and have some fun, have some laughs, and see my brother, see my friend who lives in Tennessee, and her grandpa lives in Tennessee too, so make a little vacation out of it. It would have been a good time. But I got sick like the night before we were supposed to go. Well, I got sick 2 days before we were supposed to go, and then the next day I was like, I felt a little better. Like I was still kind of like rough, but I was like a little better. And then that night, just chills, fevers, a spike. It was just awful. So I ended up going to the emergency room, and the doctor was like, "You're just really sick." And then I got home, and I was like, "Oh, my toe's infected again." And so I went to a different urgent care. So I ended up going to 2 urgent cares and the emergency room in one day. Because first I went to urgent care, and the guy's like, I can't do anything for you. Like, you might have a kidney infection. Like, you need to go to the emergency room. And I was like, cool. So I went to the emergency room, and that doctor was like, you're just sick. It's fine. We'll run some tests. And then all the tests came back good. And then I got home, took my shoe off, and my toe was big, fat, nasty red. And I was like, oh, great. So that's happening. So I don't know if, it was my toe was ready to be infected because it had like a callus on it, and that's what's happening is the callus rubs. So anyway, so that week the fiance went on the trip. She just got on a plane and flew down there because they were having a bridal shower for her. And I stayed home and had to go get antibiotics injected into my cheeks, and not the face cheeks. So that was fun. And then, the first doctor was pretty chill about it, and I had her for 2 days. And then the third day was like another urgent care doctor, and he wanted to lecture me about diabetes. And I was like, dude, do you not see that toe that you're lecturing me about is partially amputated? Do you think I'm not taking this seriously? So anyway, I wanted to punch him, but I was like, just give me the shot, fuckface. Like, what do you... I'm not here to... You're not my doctor. I have an endocrine. I have a specialist for this. I don't need to hear this shit from you. So that made me frustrated. But anyway, that cleared up. Got in to see my podiatrist. He took a look at it, cleaned it up, and then it was like... He's like, here's what's happening is the toe that the so on my right foot, the second toe has the amputation. So this bit is gone. So, what's happening is that toe has like adapted over the last 5 years, and so instead of sitting flat, it like arches. So the amputated bit is having ground contact, which is not supposed to happen. So the body forms a callus over that bit, and then the bit between the callus and the skin rub, friction, infection. And so that's why it keeps happening, and it keeps happening every, I don't know, it's 8 to 12 months. It seems to happen once. this prognosis was to take one of the bones out of this knuckle. So that's what they did. They took a bone. That's what happened this month. So that was awesome, and we'll get to that in a second. Another crap thing right before all that stuff with the emergency room happened, about a week before, I got a flat tire. I got a nail or a screw or something in my tire. So I went to go have it looked at a tire place, and they're like, oh man, all your tires are kind of low. And also, I've got money right now, like, let's just get new tires. Because, like, the tread was wearing pretty thin. They're like, you're about due for them. And I was like, okay, well, instead of just putting one new tire on, that doesn't make sense, just do all four or whatever. And I ended up getting, like, pretty nice tires, because I was like, I got money for it, not a big deal. And then, boom, emergency room, boom. Like, 3 podiatrist appointments, and, like, 5 urgent care visits. And it's just like, because the urgent care visits were to get the antibiotics, because that's who was doing it. And it's just like, sweet. So, and then surgery. So now it's like, oh, okay. So instead of having plenty of money, no worries, let's get the nice tires. Now I'm broke. But luckily, I did a bunch of work at the beginning of July, and so a lot of people owe me a lot of money, and that should just take care of it. So I'm not like desperate for money. I'm just like not currently have less money than I would like to in my bank account. So like if another unexpected bill came up, like my emergency fund is wiped, and we're just not straight up not having a good time financially. So that's going on, and then this whole time I have been busier than I ever have in my whole life with work, which is a good problem to have, but a bad problem to have when you're planning a wedding. So been trying to plan the wedding and and then the podiatrist is like, you need surgery. And luckily I had like a gap in my schedule, which was starting on Thursday. I had to cancel like 2 things. I was like, okay, that's not too bad. And so Thursday we went in, got the surgery done. And what happened, they took a bone out and they did something to the tendons I don't understand on the other 2, which were like hammer toeing, which is like when your toes kind of claw up a little bit, and that, should release them and make them flat, and that should fix my feet. But they said because it wasn't like that big of a deal, it could just be a local anesthetic, which obviously like makes the healing process and the cost way lower. And so it's like, okay, let's do that. And then I didn't realize, like, you're gonna be awake while someone takes a bone from your foot. And so like that reality didn't hit me because I was so focused on trying to get all my work done and all the things so I could just relax this week and just chill, that it didn't hit me till like Wednesday night. I was like, I'm gonna be awake while that happens. Like, oh no. So it was only minorly traumatizing. So, we get there and everyone's like super chill and nice, and get into I walk into the operating room, which is, I didn't walk. They took me on a wheelchair, but I stood up myself and hopped in the bed myself, and then they just numbed my foot up, and I walked in, and if you could guess like what would be like some relatively inappropriate music to be playing for something like that, and if your answer was 9 Inch Nails, well, you'd be correct. That's what was playing in the operating room. And they're like, do you have any preferences on music? And I was like, nah, whatever you guys are good with. I listen to like everything. So it was just a weird, off-putting to have like, I don't know what you call that, industrial goth electronic music. I don't really know there's so many like whatever you say is not gonna make anybody happy. So and so that's playing, and you're just like, and then the bone saw kicks in, and you're like, oh, that's and so it was mildly, I couldn't feel anything, so it was fine. And I didn't watch it. I was just, looking up, and I was like, and I was just making jokes. And luckily, the whole surgery team was an easy laugh, so I got a lot of chuckles out of them, so that was fun. And then when it was over, I was in the recovery room. My blood pressure was the lowest it had been in a long time, so that's cool. Got that going for me. But now I can't next week, and I have to wear this cool boot, and I can't get it wet. So, and then in a week they're gonna look at it, and then a week after that they're gonna look at it again, and then I don't know what happens after that. So, but I got all my work done, so I'm not stressed. I'll come back making videos. So I've already made a bunch of no talking videos for one of the other channels, and now I'm sitting down making some life update video for this channel. And so there's that. And also gonna work on getting that wedding stuff knocked out. We got about 2 months to the wedding. We bought a disco ball. I'm super excited for that. So that's fun. I'm gonna learn how to use a new editing software. I normally use Adobe Premiere, but my business partners want to switch to DaVinci Resolve for reasons, the chief of which being that it's a one-time payment and not a subscription thing. So if I do switch, then I could cancel my Adobe subscription and just get a Lightroom subscription, because that's what I use for photography. And that's only $20 a month versus the cloud, which is going up to like $70 a month, which is just, that's too much when I only really use Premiere and Lightroom and sometimes Photoshop. Like, you know, if I could be paying just $10, but I don't think there's a program where you could just get Premiere. I think if that exists, it's probably $20 or $30. So it's silly. So then we'll switch to DaVinci Resolve. And the other cool thing about Resolve is that it has cloud editing, so you can collaborate real time with other people, which is nice because the business partners, between the three of us, it seems like one of us is always in crisis at some point. You know, it's either like, you know, like I have this foot stuff right now. One of the other guys' grandma's just died. And then the third guy is just, he kind of goes in and out of like, yes, just work stuff pop up. And it's just like, you know, so we're always handing off edits, even though we have editors to do a lot of the lifting. But it'll be also nice with the editors, because then, you know, they could do the bulk of the work, and then when the revisions come in, we're like, this is such a small thing, I could just log in and go click, 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 and fix it, send it, be done with it. Because, you know, our editors, they have other jobs. You know, they can't just drop everything, because we have this one client that's just like, they are super specific about things, and that's fine, but like they're also slow at getting the revisions in. So we'll send them stuff and they won't look at it for like a week, and then they'll be like, here's revisions, and it's like a bunch of specific like tiny changes, and they like, we need this tomorrow. You know, like, you couldn't have told us that a week ago. Like, our editors they're not just waiting for us to like send them work, you know, like that's not how anybody operates. So it's a little frustrating, but it is what it is. It's, you know, the life of a production king. But hopefully, you know, we'll get this YouTube stuff going, and we're looking at changing how we do things, because this one client has they're a lot, and we're realizing like, while they are our biggest client, it's like, is the juice worth the squeeze? It's like the other two guys have day jobs, so like they don't need the money from the production company. I've been busier than I've ever been this whole year without that stuff. So it's like, I really don't need it either, at least not right now. But, you know, it's when you're a freelancer and you don't know when the phone's gonna ring, you don't know where the next job's coming from. It's hard to be like, yeah, fuck those people, let's get rid of them. So we're gonna try and we're gonna talk about how we can best handle this client. And what I'm pushing us to do is to just handle the production side of it, and then bring on an editor, and then that person, we just hand off the files to the editor, and then from that point the editor has the project, and they do the back and forth with the client, which will take us out of the picture, and we just give it to, you know, a senior editor. And that's, you know, we have a couple freelance editors that's all they do is they edit freelance. And so it's like, if we could step off that bit, that reduces our communication burden and our frustrations by like 80%. Like, it also takes some of the income away from us, in that, you know, we do a lot of the editing for this client, but like, we don't need to be doing it. And the editing is the slowest part, you know, that it's, you know, it's the part that none of the partners really love doing. So it's it might be nice, and that would also free up our free time to go after other clients, which is something we have not, in the 3 years we've been in business, we haven't really tried to get clients, on board. So there's that. And yeah, I don't know why I just made pop noises, but you're welcome. They were kind of loud and unexpected. So yeah, I think that's it. I think those are the big updates. Had to get new tires, went to the emergency room, had a bone stolen from me, and now got a week of nothing. I watched 7 movies yesterday, and I've already made, this will be like the 7th video I've got in the can. So there'll be a lot of new content coming out across my YouTube channels, and finished a book. Gonna finish another book here probably tomorrow. Working on Warhammer stuff. It's gonna be good. It's like a vacation, and it's something I need because I've been just go nonstop this whole year, and so now it's like slammed into a brick wall, and you just have to deal with it. So anyway, I hope you're doing well. I hope no one has stolen any bones from you lately. If so, they at least had the courtesy to put you to sleep. So that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.